Hi, I'm Janice Mayman, EVP of Communications, PR and Brand for the Association, and I'm thrilled to have Amy Radin with us today. Amy is the author of Changemakers Playbook, How to Seek, Seed, and Scale Innovation in Any Company. It's a very exciting book, and I'd love to get to Amy right away. Amy has enormous experience with companies like E-Trade and Citi, and so Amy, tell me about what is a Changemaker.
Yeah, it's great to be here, Janice. Thank you so much for having me. A changemaker is somebody who is seeing problems in the marketplace that real people are having and goes after not just crafting the idea, but actually executing to solve the problem and achieve impact.
So Changemakers is not just about having great ideas. I mean, a lot of times you hear that.
No, ideas are, at least for someone like me, ideas are the easy part. And I think we all have ideas every day about what should be done, what brands should do, how companies should solve our problems. The hard part, whether you're an entrepreneur in a startup or whether you're working in a corporation or in a professional services firm, is how do you execute through all of the inevitable challenges that come up when you're trying to do anything new.
So in your book you have 3 phases that are part of discovering innovation and implementing innovation. What are those phases?
Right. So the 3 phases that I've used to define a framework for executing innovation are 1, seek, 2, seed, and 3, scale. And the thing about the phases, it's easier for us to look at a process and assume it's sort of step by step and very linear, but innovation is anything but linear. And so these steps can take days, they could take hours, they could take weeks, sometimes they take years.
So in the seeking stage, one of the things that you have in your book is this concept of being a discoverer, which I found fascinating. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. It's, if you're a great discoverer, you will have a bigger chance of really spotting market needs. So think about a traditional discoverer. Think about Columbus, went off to find the new world. It's a discoverer is always on the lookout. They're observing, they're listening to people, but also watching behavior and finding the things that people are struggling with. And often the small daily struggles can be the sources of tremendously high impact innovations.
You gave in the book an example of the Heinz ketchup bottle, how that was a sign of innovation. And you talk about observing behavior. How do you go about doing that in a company?
Yeah, it's really, it can be formal and informal. So, you can, and I think even if you don't have a big market research budget, you can yourself be an observer, call together. People love giving their opinion. So call together, even if you're in a big company, you have a customer service group, call together your customer service reps. Ask them what's going on. If you want to understand ideas for the mass market, go out and do man on the street interviews. Do what Heinz did. Bring people into a kitchen and watch how they engage with preparing a meal. Right. And you just see what are they having problems with. So I think creating context where you can actually see what they're doing can help you deliver ideas.
So in the book, again, you talk about listening, and I thought it was interesting. You said listening was also observing, which you're talking about here too. And so how do you get into the right mindset to be open to that? Because one of the things you also talk about is sort of getting rid of your own judgment and preset notions of what the right answer is.
Yeah, I think I think it's a daily challenge that we all have, especially in today's world where we are in such a hurry to get things done and everybody is under so much pressure. A lot of times we go off seeking answers that confirm what we already believe. So I think it's something you really have to practice. It's how do you clear your head? Some people do it through meditation. How do you clear your head and really look at things with an open mind? And I think when you see something, you just have to, stop yourself from prejudging. And what I like to do sometimes is just, if you see something that seems crazy, say, well, why? Why is it like this? What's really going on here? And just keep peeling that onion back. And if you let yourself do that, you start to work back your biases.
In one of the questions you suggest that people ask is, when was the last time you did something as part of that discovery process? So I'm going to ask you a question. When was the last time you were really surprised by an idea that really did challenge your preconceived notion?
Right. Actually, just this week, I'm a member of an angel investor group in New Jersey, where I live, and every month we hear pitches from founders, and we saw this week an entrepreneur who's created a medical device. It's sort of like a partial headband, which I cannot explain the technology, but which actually he's proving through tests to eliminate chronic pain. And so if you think about that kind of solution versus today's solution, where we have this unbelievable social issue with opioid addiction, it was almost too hard to believe that it was possible, but so exciting, made me want to learn more and not dismiss the possibility out of hand.
So it's that concept of openness. And so what is the right mindset? Like, a company, part of your title is any size, any company. So if I'm a small company, where would I get started? How would I do some of the things you're talking about? Because often innovation sounds like it's only for the big companies.
No, it's really not only for the big companies. I mean, the fact is any company or any individual, even in our careers, need to innovate and adapt in order to stay viable and relevant and have careers. So I think the way to do it is connect with your clients or customers. Go into their workspaces, see what's going on for them. I remember a couple of years ago when I was working in financial services, going to visit with financial planners. I went out on sales calls, and you could see just mountains of papers in their offices. You say, man, these guys are so overwhelmed. How can they possibly be reading my sales materials? And it's so just by going into their workspaces and seeing the mountains of papers, you realize these people need help getting access to the right information. So I'd say get into your customers and clients' spaces.
Well, I think that you talk about identifying the problem that you want to solve, a real problem of the market you want to serve. So I think that is similar to what you just said.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs, and certainly we all do this even in the corporate world, you set out to solve a problem that you have. And that can be really great because it's probably something you have great passion about. And I think passion is also a real quality of changemakers, because change is hard, and if you don't have passion, you will be defeated. So that's a great place to start, but I would encourage those people who are starting with a problem they want to solve for themselves and their friends to just get out there and try to get a sense of, how big is the universe of people who also share my passion for this problem, because eventually when you get to commercialization, you're going to need to think about, is there a large enough universe for this to be economically viable?
Well, thank you, Amy. It's been a fascinating discussion. I recommend people read Amy's book. Any final words you have?
I think the world really needs more changemakers, and it can be a very, sometimes a lonely role. It can be scary, but it is so exhilarating when you succeed, and you can succeed, that I encourage people to push on and don't be afraid to try out their ideas.
Great point to end on. Thank you, Amy, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.